Gentlemen, let's take a look. Let's get educated, man. I don't think I've ever watched this.
I don't have to give much of an introduction. I'm sure you've all heard of this one. We've scaled the treacherous Danish peaks of Møllehøj, stomached the ammonia-flavored Icelandic Hákarl, and our wallets were viciously attacked by Norwegian prices of anything. But now it's time.
Norwegian prices. It's probably ultra expensive over there, man. Like Sweden, Norway, and Switzerland are probably, and Austria are just expensive as fuck, man.
Welcome to the final boss of Scandinavia, Sweden. Whew, it's hot. I'm all hot and sweaty right now.
You know the drill.
Oh yeah, okay.
Kick it.
I think that works out, man.
Oh yeah, Noah's back, by the way.
Here we are.
The beer is 5 to 10 euros.
It's time to learn geography.
Very long video.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. You can get a Geography Now
kinda
t-shirt
quiet,
at
isn't he?
Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. Not selling out if it's your brand. Anyway, alright you guys, this is
Not selling out if it's your friend. Hey, subscribe, man.
our last Nordic country.
But what about...
You're a constituent.
But what about?
You're an unincorporated territory.
But what about me?
We already did your video, I even went there. Okay, anyway, I actually wanted to go to Sweden for this episode, but at the last minute, Sweden was like, dude, we're gonna close off our borders to anyone outside the EU. But you know how it goes. The show must go on. And if we
It's actually
can't
quite a
go
new
to
video.
Sweden, we're gonna bring Sweden to us, and in the best possible way, with real Swedish people. And I mean like real Swedes, not those 5th generation Minnesota Swedes that eat lutefisk once a year. And so with that, say hi to Jonas and Carolina. Come on in. Woo!
Let me name 10 things that come to Sweden. In my brain, Sweden. PewDiePie, IKEA. Volvo. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Malmö FC. Malmö FC. Hearts of Iron. Dankus Mimicus. Sexy woman. I got a tinnitus. In the north, a lot of weirdos live. Fabian. ABBA, Avicii, Minecraft. Okay. Isn't Vikings more than Norway and Denmark? If you're being honest about it. What do you mean, Tommy? We're Vikings too, man. Whoa. Okay, I got free trade, man.
Yeah, I got 2 Swedes. So you guys are the real deal, Swedish, straight up, right?
I was born in Sweden and lived there for...
And the thing about Swedish people is, right, and Joe Rogan said this once, and it makes sense. For hundreds of years, the Vikings only brought the sexiest women home. When the Vikings went everywhere, they didn't take the ugly ones home. They took the sexy ones home. And with that, the entire Scandinavian peninsula has a more than average genetical trait of looking good. Because there was this selection by the Vikings for a while. True
So
story,
with that,
man.
say hi to
I mean, they're all
Jonas
tall,
and Carolina.
blonde, and beautiful,
Come on
man.
in. Woo! Yeah. I got 2 Swedes. So you guys are the real deal, Swedish, straight up, right?
I was born in Sweden and lived there for 10 years. And then my mom moved me to the enemy, to Norway.
Oh, so you're half Norwegian, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm from Skåne, so we might have some angry people out there claiming I'm Danish, but...
It was LA. You guys were the best I could find. So anything you want to say to the Swedish subscribers?
Now I'm excited for you guys to learn more about your country. Our country.
Your country.
By the way, where are you guys from?
I'm from Helsingborg.
And I'm from Skellefteå.
Now,
That's for the first time I ever heard about this, because I always felt like there's only 3 cities in Sweden. Göteborg, Stockholm, Malmö. I've never heard of any other cities.
there
man.
are many ways you can divide Europe. You know, like you have the Mediterranean. Tomato for sale.
Paradoxes on the stock market? Yeah, it didn't go so well, did it?
The post-Iron Curtain. The Balkans. But everyone knows the further north you go, things start to get delicious and sweet.
This video is very
Anyway,
quiet.
let's look at the globe.
Sweden lies in the region of Scandinavia in northern Europe and is the largest of all the Scandinavian countries, the 5th largest in Europe and 3rd in the EU. The country is bordered by Norway to the west and north and Finland in the northeast, separated by the Gulf of Bothnia otherwise between them. In this gulf, you can also find Sweden's 2 largest islands, Öland and Gotland. Otherwise in the the south, the only other physical connection they technically have is with Denmark via the partially submerged and partially above ground Öresund Bridge that connects Malmö, the third largest city, to Copenhagen. I'm trying my best with these pronunciations, bear with me. The country's largest city, though, and capital is Stockholm, located on the east side of the country, and it actually sits on 14
rivers and lakes in
islands
that country, man.
When
the Great Water War happened,
Lake Mälaren,
Scandinavia
with
is
over 20
gonna
lakes and countless streams.
Very
This
good.
is why it is sometimes referred to as the Venice of the North. The country is divided into 21 counties, each abbreviated by a letter or double letter known as a country code. For the EU statistical system, though, the counties are grouped into 8 riksområden, or national areas, to address things like population data and so forth, but they in themselves do not have any administrative function. Otherwise, if you ask a Swede, they might revert back to the three
so much small lakes, yeah. Dude, trust me, man. When in the next 100 years, water will be the scarcest, the biggest resource on Earth, and Scandinavia is gonna be the big winners in the future, man. They're gonna have massive issues with climate change refugees. Norway is already shutting shit down. I once googled immigration to Norway, and if you are over 35, you already are kind of almost done. You can't immigrate anymore. Like, they're already starting to prepare for the great climate change refugee
traditional lands of
crisis.
Sweden, Norrland, Svealand, and Gotland.
True
Technically,
story,
there was
man.
a
True
fourth,
story. Why water?
Österland, which was
YouTube
basically
that shit,
South
man. You'll see.
Finland when it was under Swedish rule, but that term hasn't been used since the 15th century. Anyway, Stockholm is also the central hub of economic activity and transportation. The largest and busiest airport is Stockholm's Arlanda International, which, like so many European international airports, is located
I only
super far
see
from
water,
the
man.
actual
Where's the city?
It takes a
I only
20-minute
see
express
water.
train or 45-minute car drive to downtown. The second largest airport, Landvetter International, is located in the second largest city, Göteborg, or Gothenburg for the misguided English speakers. Göteborg actually also has the largest shipping port in the country and the largest in all of Scandinavia, taking in about a third of all Swedish trade activity. It lies on the Kattegat and Skagerrak, the shallow straits
Kattegat! Ragnarlofbruk!
that open up Scandinavia to the rest of the world. With other major cities like Oslo and
Ragnar was from
Copenhagen,
Sweden? Wrong. Ragnar Lofbruk is till this day not a proven historical figure that could never historically be accurately sued to anything. At this point, it's actually more likely that the legend of Ragnar Lofbruk is based on more than one person. And I think that Ragnveri, the one that actually went to Paris, was actually Danish.
within
Vikingsinparis.net, everybody. Just checking.
Yes, here about 70% of all industry and
His
commerce
kids are real. Once again, wrong. Let me educate all these idiots in chat. Bjorn Ironside, Arvar the Boneless were, yes, historically people that existed, but there weren't Ragnar Lofbruk's children. These were self-standing historical figures in Scandinavian Viking history that in the TV show were used as his children.
through Scandinavia happens. It's a busy spot, to say the least. Finally, the country has quite an organized system of roads and
Don't
rail
believe anything
networks
you've seen
that
unless
more
in
or
this
less
TV show,
parallel
guys.
each other. There are two main north-south highways, the E4 that hugs the entire Bothnia coast, and
That
the
must be a
E45,
long highway.
the
Dude, I would
longest
like to
road in
drive
the
that
country
highway
that
once.
goes along the mountains inland from Göteborg all the way to the border.
That would be a big trip, man. I like driving cars.
Also, it's important to note that Sweden claims to have the most islands out of any other country in the world, at over 260,000.
In any case, Sweden's
though.
domain wasn't always confined to these borders.
For starters, Sweden being Scandinavian. Obviously,
Sometimes I'm so happy I don't have these eye trackers, you know, that some normie streamers use. From Gothenburg to Umeå, 12 hours and then a day more.
we have Viking history. If you know anything about Vikings, you'll know that they went places.
They were literally in the Americas 500 years before Christopher Columbus.
And when they couldn't conquer an area, they still left.
Like that, look at that girl, man. 1,200 years ago, a Viking. There's Viking blood in there, right? I mean, look at these people. Look how tall they are, man. There's Viking blood in there.
Their
dude.
mark somehow.
Let's be
Even the
fucking
Hagia
real.
Sophia in Turkey has runic inscriptions.
That is so sick, man. Halfdan was here. If you ever go to this thing, I forgot what it, in Istanbul, it actually has Halfdan was here from the 9th century in it.
Hidden on
So
it.
sick.
It was
man.
like Viking graffiti, like
Yeah.
Vikings were here.
On top of that, in the 1600s, Sweden started to become a European powerhouse, and many other countries took an attempt at settling and colonizing places outside of Europe.
At one point, Sweden had fortresses and colonies in the Americas, Africa, mostly in what now is Ghana.
Further, which it's more, within Sweden, you even have a few micronations.
Oh,
We
really? I
don't
didn't
have
know
time
that.
to get into each of them, but they're pretty interesting. One of them was made as a protest by an artist to protect those wooden sculptures.
Anyway, the development
never
physical
heard that.
structure behind Sweden has a lot of history behind it.
Like Visby on Gotland Island, probably the best preserved medieval city in Scandinavia.
Ah, beautiful.
The Old Town Stockholm neighborhood of Gamla Stan was built as a fortress to protect against pirates.
Later on, one of your kings would actually become a pirate, but that's
What?
another story. In fact, the country has 15 UNESCO heritage sites, and actually, here's fellow geography Rebecca to
Vikings
explain
never
a
went to
little more about
Turkey?
the
Well,
top
maybe you
sites
should
of
read that
Sweden.
again, man.
Rebecca, take it away.
Hi
It's a bug?
everyone, my name's Rebecca, and if you're ever in Sweden, here are some of the most notable sites. There are plenty of notable castles, fortresses, and cathedrals, such as Drottningholm Castle, Gripsholm Castle, Örebro Castle, Visby Town Wall.
Americans in the chat, if you ever come to Europe, the only thing you're gonna see here is castles. Let's go to that castle, that's
Uppsala
all of
Cathedral
it, man.
and St. Mary's Cathedral.
And
Sweden
churches.
also has
Fucking
the highest
churches.
concentration of runestones in the world, with the most famous one being Rökstenen. There's also many historical Viking sites, such as Birka Viking Village,
Wow.
Trelleborgen, Old Uppsala, and Alestenar. If
Wow.
you're looking for more excitement, check
I
out
would
the
love to
theme
make a big
parks
Sweden
Liseberg,
trip one day.
Gröna Lund, and Skara
A big
Sommarland.
Sweden
Notable
trip
museums
and
in
look at all that
Sweden
shit.
are the Vasa Museum, ABBA Museum, Fotografiska, and the Museum of Natural History. In Stockholm, you can find the newly renamed Avicii Arena. It also acts as the sun in the
Oh, they named an arena after Avicii? That's nice. Wow, that's nice.
scale model of our solar system. Thank you, and I hope you come to visit Sweden someday.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Speaking of Swedish places, like other Nordic countries, we have allemansrätten, which is the legal right to roam anywhere in nature.
Have you guys ever taken advantage of that Allemansrätten thing?
Nice.
I mean, you just like pick berries and like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, most places are owned by the country, so you're allowed to be there.
Can you just like walk inside?
But isn't that everywhere in the world? What?
No.
Allemansrätten?
No. It has to be
Preferably
public
not.
land.
Well, speaking of roaming in nature, there's lots to explore in Sweden, which brings us to... Now, in the Nordics, each country kind of has their own trademark physical trait.
You know, Norway has the mountains and fjords.
Denmark has the flat grassy farms,
Finland is the land of lakes.
and Iceland is basically just one big volcano.
And then you get to Sweden, and it's like a little bit of everything. Yes, there's even a small sand volcano in Simrishamn.
Yeah.
Sweden lies on the Scandinavian
beautiful.
peninsula
Bosnia is
of
great
Northern
if you
Europe,
collect the
shared with
landmines,
Norway
sure.
on the east side of the Scandinavian mountain chain that separates them. Here you can also find the tallest peak, Kebnekaise, in the far north. This means that Sweden gets most of its river runoff from the mountains that mostly flow down into the Gulf of Bothnia, and the longest river shared with Finland being the Torne or Tornio River. The longest
so
river
fucking
fully
beautiful up
within
there, man.
Sweden, though, being the
This is ginger
Dalälven
paradise,
River. Amongst
man.
these rivers is an abundance of lakes and ponds peppering the flatter hilly valleys below, the largest of these lakes being Värnen and Vättern in the south. The reason Sweden has so many of these pockety lake zones and eroded rivets is because they sit on a post-glacial rebound zone. Basically, during the Ice Age, all this land was crushed by heavy
Man,
ice.
I
But
genuinely
after the
believe
ice
in the
melts,
next 100,
like a sponge,
200 years,
Sweden started
Scandinavia
to
is
slowly
becoming the
spring
big
back
boss,
up
man.
again. This means every
If
year
climate
Sweden
change
recovers
really
on
is
average about
unstoppable,
4
man,
millimeters of land
everything
from
close to the
sea. In
equator
some
is gonna
places,
get shit
even
on.
more. This is
And
why
these
you might
countries
see
are gonna
extended
be
piers from old
big
homes
winners,
that once
man.
used to be
Big
situated
winners.
on the shore. The country has 4 general climate zones: the oceanic zone in the south by the Baltic Sea. This is also where most of the agriculture is situated. The continental zone is in the middle part of the country, and finally the subarctic in the north just above that. These areas have the highest forest concentration in the country. Also, the peaks of the mountains are classified as tundra. The top 15%
Fucking
of Sweden
reindeers.
lies
Oh, man.
just north
This
of
is
the
such a
Arctic
fairy tale
Circle,
land.
where the coldest
I'd
temperatures
love
and
to go
highest
up there one
snowfall
day, man.
happens. Otherwise, in the south, they might not even get any snow at all in the winter. Just cold, depressing rain. Numbers fluctuate depending on which source you study, but somewhere around or above 60% of the country is forested, making it the second most forested country
Beautiful,
in
man.
Europe.
That's very nice. Just checking. When the video's over, I'm gonna start to heavily roleplay.
After Finland.
It's also important to note that Sweden has aprilväder, or April weather, in which,
It's pretty crazy.
yeah.
Pretty much anything.
Same
can
in
happen.
Germany. We have a saying in Germany, der April, er macht was er will, Alter. Which means in April, everything is just crazy. We have the
Well,
same.
the sun is finally out after 6
Whether
months
Norway or
of
Sweden?
darkness. So clothes come off. We sit in the sun.
know.
Oh, whenever you see a sweet tooth, expect this. Facing the sun, eyes closed, and then all of a sudden a storm hits. Snow comes, or
Out of nowhere.
yeah.
I don't know where.
The interesting
I almost
thing,
want to
though,
know
is that
Finland,
Sweden
man,
in
I've
the
seen a
past
real
was
snowstorm
kind of
for the
not
first time in my
much
life, and
what
that
they
shit
are
was
today.
just
In
so
fact, at the beginning
fucking
of the
scary,
20th
man.
century, much of
That snowstorm just killed everything. No car could drive, no one could leave the house, man. You just couldn't do anything.
Scandinavia was struggling with widespread poverty.
However, much like Germany's Wirtschaftswunder, they had the Rekordåren, in which Sweden's economy bursted with now industries and innovation.
And today you have the largest economy and most powerful nation in Northern Europe.
Oh, Oh, Sweden is shitting on Finland, Denmark, and Norway. What do you say about that, Scandinavians? Oh, you just got shit on. Oof. How does that feel, boys? Ay, 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 ay.
A little bit more on the way Sweden
Get
takes
wrecked.
what it has and flourishes. Here's Noah. He's back!
Well, here we are. Once again, let's get to it. Despite having lush green lands, only about 7% of the country is arable. Therefore, agriculture isn't exactly their main focus. Today, much of Sweden's open market economy is heavily based on exports, especially in the timber and mining sectors. The largest mine in Kiruna is
Not very
actually so
sustainable.
large they are currently in the process of moving the town and residents to make more mines. This is how Sweden in the 21st century became the world's 6th largest iron ore exporter and 3rd largest stainless steel exporter. And of course, lumber. The Swedes love trees so much that a long time ago during famine times, they would put crushed tree bark into their rye bread.
Dude, I knew that if there's a black guy, one idiot in chat is gonna... I knew it. I knew it. Adios, man. Adios.
Actually good because the bark
I knew
had
it.
lots of minerals and fiber.
So
Go
predictable.
figure. The lumber industry plays a huge role in their world-renowned furniture commerce.
18th
We've all
century
heard of
industry.
IKEA having over 450 stores in
IKEA
about
is
60
so fucking
countries.
powerful.
IKEA. They
But
actually
IKEA
studied
is good
that.
shit. My whole fucking room is IKEA. Everything here is IKEA. Everything. Literally everything. Thank you, Blaming. So many people in chat are probably looking around their room and see only IKEA, man, if we're being honest, man. Thank you, Blaming.
1.5
Thank you for the
years
1.5. Just think all the resources Russia would get from Siberia to climate change and just mess, blah, 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 blah. Same here, mostly IKEA. Yeah, IKEA is such a world power, man. But they have good stuff, man. You know, it's not bad. It's pretty good. Let me just take the military advisor. I really enjoy Sweden. They're such a chill country that also really becomes strong.
In design school.
Is that
But
true, Noah?
that is true. Not that I do it. But
Thank you,
you
Muslim.
might be familiar with other Swedish companies like Electrolux, Ericsson, H&M, Saab, Scania, Spotify, and of course the largest domestic company and only one on the Fortune 500 list, Volvo. Great cars.
Oh, they only have one on the Fortune 500.
And that is...
What is the Fortune 500? I would like to check that afterwards. Fortune 500. Fortune 500. I'm gonna watch that afterwards.
that is that. Until we
Lately,
meet
my
again.
stream is becoming a bit
Thank you, Noah.
educational. A lot
Now,
of
going
educational
off of
content.
business talk,
Thank you,
domestically,
Epic.
Sweden does have a pretty complex system when it
Life
comes
has
to taxes
started to
that
hover
plays into
better
their
since the
fiscal
initial
structure.
sub.
As of 2021,
Thanks
their
for being
individual
great.
tax rates
Love
range
your
from about
content,
32%
Tommy.
to 52% based on income
Thank you,
bracket
man. I
margins.
can't
And
clean
that's
my
not even
glasses.
including other factors like corporate value-added taxes, which can be up to 25%.
When you add them, you get the second highest total tax revenue behind Denmark as a share of its country's income.
Yeah, that's you guys kind of have high taxes.
Well, we also have healthcare.
And good schools. And
roads.
we get free food, roads.
Roads. In any case, another interesting thing about Sweden is its wildlife. And with that, here's
I once read something which I think is genius. Was it Sweden or Norway? Sweden has a system that you can literally, like, I could go to an office and I could ask the office to tell me the income of my neighbor, and by law they have to show me. You can, in Sweden, if it was Sweden, I think so, you can see everybody's income. It was actually Norway. It's actually Norway. Is it? Oh, it's Norway actually. And I think that's genius. It's so good against tax fraud and shit. It's obviously really bad with privacy and stuff, but it helps massively against corruption and tax fraud and shit.
Gary Harlow to explain.
Guess who's back? As a
It's in
Nordic
Sweden too.
country, Sweden is obviously a place full of cold climate animals. In fact, they have the third highest number of their national animal, the moose, or the Eurasian elk, after Russia and Canada. There's so many moose that they actually
Sec. Fucking Denmark, Bokuin. Denmark is heavily influencing Germany now. The first Danish person is now in German parliament to represent the rights of the North German Danish people. And one of the most powerful men in Germany right now, Robert Habeck, actually is fluent in Danish, man. He's very close to Denmark, man. The Danish are slowly taking Germany, I'm telling you guys.
have to hunt around 100,000 every year to maintain population control, killing your
Shadow
national
Masters
animal
of Europe.
because there's too many. Go Sweden! There are 30 national parks and nature prediction zones, and the most famous being in the North Lapland areas where reindeer, musk
Man, I would love to go
grey
there.
owls and brown bears can be spotted roaming freely. Fun fact, reindeer have climate adapted feet in the summer. Their spongy foot pads are more exposed, which help with traction. But in winter, the pads shrink and the hoof is exposed, which helps cut into the ice when moving. Finally, Sweden is one of the few places in the world with a real taxidermised whale. The mouth used to be open for visitors to walk into, but it was closed off to the public because a couple was caught having sex in it. Speaking of making babies, I made one myself. Here's a photo of my daughter. She's beautiful.
Dude, I'm getting old now. 10 years ago, I was like, what? But now I'm 30, I'm like,
Hey, Gary, I remember the first meal I had in Sweden was reindeer meatballs. You guys love your reindeer. What's your favorite dishes in Sweden?
It probably is reindeer meatballs. Yeah.
I would say salmon. Grilled in summer, oven baked in the winter.
They make amazing
Oh
salmon,
yeah, and you
dude.
guys know fika, right?
In Germany, there's a Christmas market. You know, once a year the Christmas market is coming. And the most famous thing on every Christmas market is always the one Finnish house with the smoked salmon, man. They just shit on everybody. In my city, Leipzig, there is a Finnish hut on the Christmas market that always has a 30-minute line for motherfucking Finnish salmon bread, man. It's bread with salad and smoked salmon from behind the house, and people are insane about it, man. Me too. It's so fucking good, but it's 7 euros, Alter. A little piece of bread with salmon, 7 euros, and you wait for 30 minutes, man. And a little, what the fuck, man? You know?
Right, yeah, fika. It's funny because coffee was actually banned from Sweden like 5 times in the 1700s, but that's another story. To explain a little bit more about fika and the food, here's Johan and Rika. All right, guys, well, this is fika, and to explain, here is Johan.
So, in Sweden, fika is a huge tradition. It's something you do daily. It's a part of a workday break where you kind of like gather, you sit down, and you have coffee. Historically, it's been that 7 types of cookies minimum, plus cinnamon rolls.
It looks
and
amazing.
Cardamom rolls.
Is that true? Swedish people, or are they just lying? Swedish people, do you do that? In Germany, we have kind of a thing like Kaffee, which means that between dinner and breakfast, you get coffee and cake. It actually is true.
Then pastries such as princess cakes and other things. Every day, but not necessarily this many sorts. I wanted to give you a cross section of what it could be. So. And then the most famous on the bottom would be the princess cake.
So if I'm going to try some, I have to have some marzipan. So many layers.
I know.
You're American, come on, man.
Hello there, my name is Dick and I'm here to talk about some of the foods. We have kroppkakor.
That was so PewDiePie. Dude, is PewDiePie so influential that you guys move like him now? If that wasn't PewDiePie...
my name is Dick and I'm here to talk about some of the foods. We have kroppkakor or palt, depending on if you are from the north or the south. Sill or as you will...
Yeah, I don't... That shit, man, in Germany also... fuck that. Fuck that. You're gonna smell, dude. You're gonna be a smelly motherfucker after that.
Reindeer,
that's probably
pea
good.
soup,
pea soup. Okay.
Cauliflower.
Nah. This all just sounds like something an old lady will eat, you know?
Surströmming or sour herring, but eat at your own risk. All of this foods can be eaten at the traditional smörgåsbord, or smörgåsbord, basically a Swedish buffet. We also have Kalles or Charles caviar. It's a Swedish style of smoked cod roe, not that super expensive. And of course we have knäckebröd! And the traditional national dish of Sweden, Swedish tacos. Over to some drinks from Sweden. We have akvavit or flavored caraway liquor. Julmust on Christmas and påskmust on Easter. Glögg, we have glögg. And of course my personal favorite, punch. It's made by the mixing of spirits.
This is all
like
very
Arrack
German.
rum
A lot of this has...
I
see that in Germany. Very connected.
Very strong and very nice.
Thank you, Johan and Rika. Oh, yeah, you guys also have something about like the alcohol in Sweden. Can you guys explain what is that?
It's called the Systembolaget, which is like the Swedish system of selling heavily regulated alcohol at state-owned stores at set prices.
So you can be 18 and go to a bar to get liquor, but you can't.
Alcohol is one of the craziest drugs in the world, killing people and fucking people up every day. But because the lobby was so strong, everybody acts like alcohol is normal. I think that's great.
Buy it at a store until you're 20.
Correct.
Logic.
We hate that in Sweden.
The way it goes
Be happy,
is that
man,
Norwegian
dude.
people go to
Alcoholism
Sweden
is
to buy
a fucking
alcohol.
epidemic.
Swedish people go to Denmark to buy alcohol, and Danish people go to Germany to buy alcohol.
You guys all have a system.
Yeah, we have a system for cheap alcohol.
So there's probably a bunch of 16-year-olds taking a ferry over to Denmark.
The ferry itself is a party.
I've been on that ferry. I've been on that ferry with my mom between Helsingborg and Helsingør. Oh, and a funny story, I was told when potatoes were introduced to Sweden, it was kind of like this. What are these things?
Well, obviously, liquor.
And that's how aquavit, supposedly. What's that thing about candy on Saturdays? Explain, Carolina.
Lördagsgodis. You get to eat candy on Saturdays. So when we were kids, we got a little amount of money. We got to run to the store and pick our favorite candy. It's amazing. Best in the world. I mean, yes, good ingredients.
I don't know,
When
it
you
sounds
come
like having a
here,
childhood
pretty much
in
half the
Sweden
ingredients
is
of
quite
American
nice, man.
candy is illegal in Sweden. So.
Yeah, we do that. Well, on that note, we've talked a lot about some of your small little traditions. Let's explain a little bit more in...
It's only at Friday?
I asked geography Johan to explain Swedish people and what they're like, and he described it something like this. A Swedish person is pretty reserved. They will definitely help you, but probably won't take the immediate initiative to help you. The way I see it, it's kind of like, oh no, I hope I don't fall. Oh, I'm falling. Oh, and I dropped my wallet. And I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer. Can you help me? Or...
Oh, I'm sorry. You're...
That's actually Bokkuin. Yeah, it's just like Bokkuin, man. It makes, yeah, these Scandinavians, man. Introverted, you know, distant. Yeah.
Am I supposed to help you?
Yeah,
oh my god, yeah. Here's...
Also, what are some other kind of taboos in Swedish culture? What do you think?
I guess when you get on the bus, if there is another available seat and you go sit next to someone, don't do that. Just don't.
And don't have too much eye contact in general.
Preferably none.
That was same in Germany.
It's a law that basically tells you that don't think you're better than anyone. It's like, don't tell people that you got good grades. Just get them and move on.
But still, you know, kind of let them see it on you.
Yeah, it's definitely based on status.
Lagom is this word that does not exist in English, and it basically means not too much, not too little, just the perfect amount. I would say that a Swedish person
Dude, that's a word that Americans will never understand.
is generally intelligent. Is that full of myself saying that?
Nah, it's just a result of our educational system.
That's right.
But Scandinavians are more intelligent on average.
Right?
Well, we're not
It's just
allowed
the
to
truth,
brag.
man.
No,
If you look at
now
the
we're
PISA
in
studies and
America,
shit.
so,
Well, that was
But
a
then you see
discussion.
Dankes
Any
and you're
case,
like-
let's break down the population of Sweden.
Sweden has a population of about 10.25 million
Only
and has one of
10?
the
Wow, it's
oldest
such a big
populations
country.
in the world at about 41 years of age on average. About 75% of the country claims to be ethnically Swedish, and this is where things get a little complicated. For the remaining 25%, the Swedish government doesn't have any official statistical data
Okay. What are they trying to hide?
on foreign background, but what we do know is that of these people, about 2 million of them were born abroad, and about 600,000 were born in Sweden as second generation with foreign parents. We also know that as of
It's all the
2020, due to the
refugees.
refugee crisis, the largest immigrant communities had origins mostly from
Calm down,
Syria
boys.
and Iraq, which
Calm down.
surpassed Finland and Poland in the 21st century for the largest foreign-born communities.
Yeah, we'll talk about the refugee thing later. But in the meantime,
Sweden uses the Swedish krona as its currency.
And we use the type
Looks
C
like
and F plug
play
outlets,
money.
and we drive
The
on the
right
right
plug.
side of
You
the road.
drive right and you use the right plug. All you UK motherfuckers, man, fuck your electricity and your traffic. Okay, I
But
said
we
it.
used to drive on the left side until September 3rd, 1967.
Yeah, but then you chose
When the högertrafiksomläggningen was instituted.
and
Right
it
way.
was a crazy time. People were all confused and jamming into each other. In Sweden, the official language is, shocker, Swedish.
But the funny thing is, even though Swedish originated and has pretty much always been spoken natively in Sweden, Swedish actually only became official in the country in 2009.
Yeah, they kept kind of arguing about it. It was like,
No, it might be seen as more difficult for international issues. It might be seen as discriminatory, maybe, for those who don't speak Swedish. God!
So let's break this down. The country is called Sweden. What the do you think people should speak in Sweden?
And that's how Swedish became the official language of Sweden.
we've explained this before, but the three Scandinavian countries can all more or less understand each other. If you learn one, you can pretty much kind of communicate with the others. It's just, you know, when they hear Danish, it's like,
Oh, hey, Denmark.
And the interesting thing is that the Swedish language has pitches.
Here's geography Marcus to explain a little bit more.
So yeah, Swedish is a very hard language to learn. We also have pitch dialect. Some words look and are pronounced exactly the same, but have different meanings. So the word plan, it can mean a plan, like having a great plan. It can also mean pitch, like a football pitch. Fotbollsplan, banan.
It's like Chinese.
Banana,
Chinese is
but
also like
if you
that.
pronounce it banan, it means the track.
Thank you, Marcus.
In any case, on top of that, there are also 5 protected languages in Sweden. Finnish, Menkal, Sami, Romani, and Yiddish.
Also, Sweden has a lot of regional accents.
If she spoke her native language right now, or
You don't even say dialect, you say language.
native dialect,
Ah,
I
chat.
wouldn't understand a word.
Say
You
the
guys are so
most
funny.
difficult southern Swedish thing you can say.
Okay, this is not my accent, okay? Disclaimer. Det är nämnt men tradigt och köra rulleball.
It is easy but difficult to drive a roller coaster.
Wheelbarrow, but that was really good.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
She speaks
You
Swedish
thought
and he doesn't
wheelbarrow was
understand it?
roller
What?
coaster. Whoa! In any case, Christianity
Look
was
at these Vikings, man. They're so fucking tall, man. After the video, I'm going to start full series for
regardless of their level of religious
She
devotion.
just spoke Skanska, which is a dialect. Oh, sorry. We have a lot of dialects in Germany, man. I was just watching a video today. To all my German brothers. Ich gucke seit kurzem den Parabelritter, den Stay reacted, und der hat so ein Video gemacht über Ostdeutschland. Sorry. And a Saxon accent is by far the most disliked accent in Germany, man. God damn. I can speak Saxon, but it has really bad reputation, which I don't understand. It's so stupid. Bavarians, they walk around like, and it's fucking cool and culture, but if we talk Saxon, it's fucking cringe and ugly, and like, what the fuck is that shit, man? Bullshit, dude.
And like the Danes and Norwegians, they have their confirmation ceremonies at age 14 or 15.
In old times, ancient Swedes and the Norse people followed the Asatro religion, you know, where Thor, Odin, Loki, all of them were from.
Otherwise, Sweden is a constitutional monarchy, although they are mostly seen as just figurehead celebrities with
So
almost
fucking.
no actual
I never understand these
legislative
monarchies,
power.
man. Why the fuck does
Today,
that
the royal
shit
family
exist?
is actually French descended.
Look on the right side of the screen. There's a Viking.
For what it's
What
worth,
happened
being
there?
the largest of the
Vikings in
Scandinavian
Paris?
countries,
Look at
Sweden
that
has
guy.
a lot on its plate.
Whoa.
In general, most people would say that the system works.
Merch store is
Yes,
fully
we do
restocked.
have one of the highest life expectancies in the world at over 82 years.
People get paid to go to schools they are accepted in.
Healthcare is free for people under 18. Dental is free for anyone under 23.
Otherwise, there are price caps for medical and pharmaceutical services, and they are usually cheap.
However, for the population, there is a bit of a shortage in medical facilities, and like most state-subsidized healthcare systems, wait times can be an issue sometimes, and they follow the 0-30-90-90 rule. This
What?
rule states that a person cannot wait more than 90 days to see a specialist and 90 days after diagnosis to receive surgery unless it is deemed an emergency. This means that the worst-case scenario, potentially, it could take almost half a year to get treated.
This is one reason why 1 out of 10 Swedes actually prefer private insurance, which was, made available in 2010 rather than relying on universal healthcare system.
Otherwise, we aren't going to fully sugarcoat this episode. Everyone knows that Sweden has quite a few drastic changes in the past decade or so. During the 2014-15 refugee crisis, Sweden saw a wave of asylum seekers, mostly from Syria and Iraq.
Obviously, this unexpected influx in such a short time, barely allowing the new immigrants time to integrate, kind of played out in many ways that made international news.
Now, this is where the narrative kind of steps on thin ice because you want to be seen as compassionate, but you also can't avoid the fact that statistically, problems that quiet Sweden had never really seen before obviously kind of started to arise. We've seen the news features, riots, multiple cities, crime rising, but at the same time, you also want to be seen as compassionate, but without sidestepping the issues. So the question was, how?
Well, it's not an easy question to answer.
So, I don't know, what do you guys think of that whole situation of the drama?
You can see it as either win-win or lose-lose in many ways, because if you're completely against taking in immigrants, you're basically considered a racist. And if you're trying to turn a blind eye to the fact that, crime has risen a lot the last years, then that's not great either. So I think this is a fairly new problem, and it takes some time to really figure it out.
It's difficult.
And kind of a discussion of how to help people, integrate into the society in general.
Swedish society.
I think integration is keyword.
Half the people are gonna
Look at him, he just went full fucking tour mode,
argue
man.
for all the benefits.
Oh man, he's very emotional about this topic. Oh yeah.
of opening our country up.
His face changed a lot.
And those are huge as well.
Yeah. See, this is kind of part of the complication of Sweden. There's always like a dichotomy
Dude,
of
what the
ethics
fuck
and
has happened to
consequences
him?
within their story.
Oy, oy,
For
oy.
example, they've been neutral, or at least on paper, for 200 years, yet that neutrality has always kind of been tested throughout the time.
In World War I, our choice not to intervene pretty much cost
we have another hot
us
joint.
the chance to integrate the Åland Islands.
And
Chet is
in
also
World
very
War
emotional about
II,
this topic.
Sweden took almost all of Denmark's Jewish refugees. However, they did trade with Nazi Germany and let them use the railroad.
But it's
Yeah,
like what are
the
the
Danish
choices they
saved
have
almost
when
all
they
the
just
Jews.
witnessed and saw
7,800
Denmark getting
Jews went to
demolished and
Sweden.
attacked and occupied
We
in
learned
about
that
6
yesterday.
hours. It's like,
Why
you
did we
stay
learn that
neutral,
yesterday?
yet technically cooperate, or fight back with no
10
chance
facts
and
about
lose
World War
everything.
II, yeah.
So many heavy choices with no simple answers. Well, that was fantastic and uplifting.
In any case, we must move on. One thing Sweden definitely does actually feel uplifted by would be their heavy involvement in sports.
And with that, Art usually fills in for the sports part, but
Name 5 famous Swedish people without naming PewDiePie. And Ibrahimovic. These two are gone. 5. Without Ibrahimovic. Peter Forsberg. Emil Forsberg, RB Leipzig. The Skarsgård brothers are Norwegians, I'm pretty sure. The ABBA people, Avicii. Aren't the Skarsgård Norwegians? Greta Thunberg, is she famous? Isn't Anders Breivik Norwegian, you monkey? Alfred Nobel? The Skarsgårds are Swedish, actually. Oh, are they? Alexander Gustafsson, yeah, good one. And Notch. Astrid Lindgren. Okay. Oh, man, I want to actually play with 4. The video's still so long.
So I don't know. Noah, why
Uma
don't you fill it?
Thurman?
All right, Noah, you got to be Art this time. He's gone, so you know.
No, you missed the do, and you go too.
Oh yeah, forgot.
But sports in Sweden. Fun fact: they actually won a
What is Sweden good at in sports? Probably some trash nobody cares
half
about.
medal
Like
at
ice
the
hockey.
1900 Olympics, technically. They teamed up with Denmark in the tug-of-war event. Yes, there actually used to be a tug-of-war event in the Olympics, which does sound pretty cool. Why would you get rid of that? I go to the Olympics.
Hockey. It's
do
not hard
tug-of-war,
to be
that'd
good at
pretty
hockey if only 2 people play it.
Team, Noah.
There are 2 sports that kind of originated in
Like here I said it, brandball and floorball. What?
Sweden. Brandball and floorball. Brandball is kind of like baseball, and floorball is basically like hockey with a ball on the floor. So
Who
the thing
plays
about
that?
Sweden is that each of their neighbors is kind of like their biggest rivals in a certain sport. And of course, we can't mention football without mentioning their biggest player,
Zlatan Ibrahimovic! That was a fucking football player. That was still one of the final football players. I believe that, man. Nowadays, they're all tattooed and Instagram and they can't say anything. That guy still had some character, man. That guy still had character, man. And he probably has the greatest goal of all times, which we have to look at. We have to look at it. The greatest goal of all times. This might be the greatest goal ever, but the, what was his name? The free kick that goes on the right, man, that was also quite fucking insane. I mean, that is insane, man. This is just insane. The fucking skill level. Oh, this is just... That is just genius.
Depending on who you ask, many people might say that ice hockey is the national sport. In 2006, they became the first and so far only team to win both tournaments in the same calendar year, Olympics and World Championships. They're part of the Big Six that are considered the best ice hockey teams in the world, including Canada, Czechia, Finland, Russia, and the United States. That's the sports parts.
Thank you, Noah.
That was it. You say you guys are super famous for sports, and it's sports nobody knows, and a bit of hockey. Come on.
Actually, if you
And
want
then
to
you
learn
have
more about it, just
Zlatan,
read, the adventures of
who isn't even
Niels.
really
He rides
Swedish,
a
man.
goose around Sweden and learns some life lessons along the way.
That, here's Random Hannah with culture stuff.
Hey guys, I'm back. Woo! In Sweden, you'll find that
Yes, Chad, it's an attractive woman. This is the point where you just behave and stay normal. I know it's hot. Put these fingers away from the keyboard. Put them away. Put them away. Come on. There you go. Hey, oh god.
every region has its unique identity. For example, the Sami people of Lapland in the north, they have their reindeer herding, tents, and cult or yakti clothing. If you go to the south in Skåne though, you'll find a radically different culture of glass blowing and silversmithing, stuff like that. Of course, we don't have time to dive into all the regions, but one thing you'll realize
Zlatan was born in Sweden. I know I just tried to make a joke that genetically he ain't so Swedish, okay? Just a joke.
But they all have a traditional costume, or folkdräkter. One thing you will see all over Sweden is a typical redwood farmhouse. They also have the dalahäst, a wooden horse usually painted red with patterns. And speaking of iconic animals, Swedes actually love Donald Duck, even more than Mickey Mouse. And every year during Christmas...
India's independent, okay? What? What a fucking weird information. What? Okay, I'm gonna stop.
They show Donald Duck and his friends wish you a Merry Christmas on the TV. Sweden also has many notable individuals in the arts and literature department. And probably the most critically well known is Anders Zorn, who is commissioned to paint numerous high-profile figures. Swedes are known for their crime, fiction, drama...
It's alright, I never was into this, but Sweden is known for these crime thingies. Thank you, Kundas. There's this famous book stuff. Revenge. I don't know what it's called. You know what I mean? There's this
Literature.
famous.
They love the complex, moody scenarios. Many people attribute this guy, I'm not even going to try and say his name, as the founder of modern Scandinavian crime fiction. But the #1 best-selling Swedish author of all time is actually Astrid Lindgren. You've probably heard of her Pippi Longstocking series. And speaking of consumable media, if you want to learn about culture, history, and geography through film, check out Filmography Now, where we talk about people like Ingmar Bergman, who is a huge influential person in the film industry, and he was from Sweden. Finally, Sweden is known for having a ton of inventions and discoveries, such as nicotine gum, the pacemaker, the 3-point seatbelt, GPS, the ultrasound, dynamite, and the Celsius temperature scale. And 4 elements on the periodic table were named after the town Ytterby. I give up, guys. Too many strange vowels and sounds. And one thing you should give up on is Keith and his music segment. Take it away, Keith.
Wow, so we're finally talking.
They probably have a lot of metal and shit.
Talking about this country that I have, like, totally not any sort of bias towards. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I'm forgetting something. I hope everybody recognizes my favorite Swedish band right here. Let's talk about Sweden, shall we? Technically, Sweden doesn't have a national anthem. So, they have this one song. It's called Du Gamla Du Fria. I guess it's the de facto anthem, but not the official one. There's tons of really great Swedish folk songs accompanied by the Swedish nickel harp. Kind of looks like a keyboard mixed with like a violin. Who likes Strandberg guitars? I do. Just so many great guitar players. Per Nelson, greatest guitar player I think out of Sweden. There's also Yngwie Malmsteen, Ola Ögland, Michael Ackerfeldt. I don't understand why Scandinavia has produced some of the world's greatest guitar players. Anyways, Sweden has also a very pop-centric side. Who doesn't know ABBA? I Want to Be a Dancing Queen.
Didn't they make another song some weeks ago?
1974 for the Euro.
I never liked ABBA. You know, my parents and probably your parents, they loved ABBA, and oh my god, the musical. Have you seen the movie? Oh my god. I don't like ABBA, man. I don't.
Also, now ABBA's actually going to be making a new album after doing 4 years.
They're making a comeback. Yeah.
Since then, Sweden has been kind of the pioneers of like electro pop and dance music. More well-known artists might be like Avicii, the Carnigans, Swedish House Mafia, Roxette.
Swedish House Mafia. I used to listen to them.
A lot of American pop songs were written by Swedes. Max Martin has hundreds of songs. Before I go, some of the bands that I really do enjoy are Opeth, Meshuggah, Pain of Salvation, Sabaton, there's Beardfit.
To the gates of hell! Okay, there's another resource slot later. Is it time for politics? I don't want to choose politics yet. I want to be ready for it. Let's take this here, construction bullshit. Okay.
Fish. I wish I could name them all. Anyways, you guys have a great one.
Very long video.
Thank you, Keith. Any music suggestions for Swedish music?
Robin. She's a great musician.
Benjamin Ingrosso is killing it.
Well, speaking of which, Carolina is a musician and an artist, and you can follow her Spotify at this link right here.
No.
I will promote it. I will promote your Spotify. Don't be all Logum or Yantalo.
Oh, she is a singer.
She is a singer. Yourself. This is America.
So far released 3 Swedish songs, 1 English one.
You want to promote anything? You have a website? Anything?
Check her out. Guys.
No. You were in a Norwegian movie and it got an Emmy Award.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, your music has touched the world in so many ways. And another way Sweden has made its name across the world is by interacting with it. So let's move on to the friend zone.
Now, Sweden has an interesting way of dealing with the rest of the world.
They kind of have a hands-off unless really necessary approach to international conflict.
For one, their security doctrine states that they have a non-partisan stance in regards to military alliances. However, it permits cooperation with threats against peace security with their military. Yes, Sweden has a military. Nonetheless, they joined the EU in 1995, which some criticized as being against neutrality, but Sweden decided to see it as an extension of economic activity that had already been going on with the EU, and they also hold the right to not participate in EU defense. Today, they have 79 embassies abroad on all inhabited continents. In Asia, Iraq actually has had relations way before conflict years, dating back to the 30s, when members of the royal family visited Baghdad to see King Ghazi of Iraq. In the 80s, Swedish companies opened up in Iraq, trade was developing well for a while, and after conflict years, many Iraqis chose Sweden as their
listen to her songs.
The USA and Canada have always been close, as the US has the largest Swedish diaspora community at over 4 million people, most heavily concentrated in Minnesota. Canada having just about 500,000 with a
that's why they're called Minnesota Vikings?
Huge community.
these motherfuckers, they actually sued me over my merch. Not very Viking.
Between 1820 to 1930, about 1.3 million Swedes immigrated to the Americas, which was at that time about 1/3 of the entire country.
Sweden right now.
Today,
No
these
shit,
nations
Sherlock.
not only had a close historical bond, but in almost every diplomatic measure aside from military conflict, they've cooperated. Bringing it closer to home, Sweden is actually one of the top donors of Moldova in regards to aid and development. They set a strategy of cooperation in 2007, which
What I
gives
see lately is that more and more countries are developing and investing in Moldova. For example, the German president just went there. Because I think that the EU understands that we shouldn't lose Moldova to Putin and the Russian influence.
Nordics. Every single one of these 5 nations and their territories has an opinion about Sweden, and the gossip is heavy. Finland is, of course, really close, as for about 600 years they were actually a part of Sweden. And today, Finns are one of the largest non-Swedish communities with a protected language in pockets throughout the country. For Iceland, it's like, we're cool with them, nothing against them. They talk like our ancient Norse ancestors, but otherwise, they're totally our distant cousins. Then we get to the last 2, Denmark and Norway. Now here's the thing, each one kind of has a small historical gripe with Sweden. Denmark, as you know, has had more wars with Sweden than any 2 nations on Earth.
Really? Really? That's massive. No 2 nations has had more war than Sweden and Denmark. Wow, that is a massive fact, actually. Wow. I would have never thought that.
Fighting over influence for Northern Europe. Norway was kind of pissed that Sweden's neutrality prevented them from interwar times when they thought the Swedish were like really close and Norway was even part of Sweden. This was especially evident in World War II. It was like the moment of tension. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, you cannot separate the Scandinavian trio. They just get each other too well. They share too much, they have the same general Scandinavian minds, they have that Viking blood, they are truly people of the North. After the insults have been hurled, they will probably say, okay, yeah, we love each other. Denmark and Sweden, though, will probably first hug Norway before hugging each other. But otherwise, yeah, inseparable trio.
All right, and in conclusion, you are the Swedes. I'm going to step out, hold the flag in the background while you speak freely from the heart.
I want to say, in conclusion, Sweden is a beautiful country with beautiful nature, beautiful architecture, if we haven't mentioned that just yet.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, if you meet a Swedish person, he or she might be a little I'm not sure about you, but lead on with a smile and some love, and you'll get the exact same back, I promise you.
I like that. That was good. All right, well, thank you guys so much for being in this episode.
Good video. We learned something, man. Very long video.